Hey, I'm Zach. I'm a student physical therapist at Regis University. I'm here with Tom. We're going to look at some active range of motion measures, looking specifically a little bit more at that lumbar spine region. So, Tom, what I'd like you to do here is you're going to go ahead and flex forward as far as you can, trying to keep those legs nice and straight, reaching down towards those toes. How's that feel?
Feels good.
Okay. Just going to apply a little bit of overpressure here. Still feel okay?
Yeah.
Good. We're gonna now go down to the side. So slide that left arm down the left side. You feel okay there?
Yeah.
Okay. A little bit of overpressure here. Does that feel okay?
Feels fine.
Good. Then we're gonna go to the other side. Awesome. A little bit of overpressure here. Still feel okay?
Yeah.
Good. And last one we're gonna look at is we're gonna have you rotate now. Look over your left shoulder as far as you can. I'm just gonna stabilize your hips. Great, feel okay there?
Yeah.
A little bit of overpressure now, so go ahead and rotate again. A little bit of overpressure here. Feel okay there?
Yeah.
Good. And let's go to the other side. Awesome. And some overpressure. Great. That all look good. So now we're just going to take a look at how your spine looks segmentally as you're doing those motions. So let's go ahead and you're going to actually turn this way so the camera can see a little bit better. I just want you to go ahead and reach down towards those toes. Good, and come back up. And then let's do it one time where you're facing the camera. So I'm looking for here is nice straight segment of the spine, up and down, and was noticing too that he had a nice top down methodology there and bottom up methodology, so good lumbo-pelvic rhythm. And last one we're gonna do is we'll turn and face away from the camera. So go ahead and face that wall, Tom. And then we're just going to look at lateral flexion here. So you're going to bring that left arm, down your side. And we got pretty good curvature throughout here that we would expect. And he's going to come down to the right side. And again, nice curvature, no real hinge point there. Everything looks good. All right, so we just want to look at active range of motion of his extension as well. So Tom, if you would, go ahead and cross those arms. And then I want you to just lean back and look up towards the sky as far as you can go. That feel okay? Gonna apply a little bit of overpressure here. Still feel okay? Good, looks great. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and measure the active range of motion of his lumbar spine. So we're gonna look specifically at flexion and extension, and then we're also gonna look at lateral flexion to both sides here. So what I'm gonna have to do is go ahead and find his T12 spinous process. So I'm going to find that rib 12. I'm going to walk up that rib 12 till I found T12 right here. I'm going to get my inclinometer set up right on T12. Make sure I've zeroed that off. And then I'm going to go ahead and find his PSIS. And then walk just medial. And that will be his S2 segment. Again, same thing. I'm going to go ahead and zero that guy off. And then Tom, if you would, go ahead and reach down towards those toes as far as you can go. Excellent. Okay, and then we're going to subtract the difference between those two. Looks good. And let's go ahead now and we're going to do extension once I've zeroed these guys off. Okay. Go ahead and flex back as far as you can. Awesome, good. Come on back. So again, those are moving the same direction, so I just went ahead and subtracted the difference between those two. And now let's have you face away from the camera so that we can take a look at his lateral flexion. So I'm gonna get set up, same segments again. Make sure I go ahead and zero it off. Make sure you can see. Okay, so there we are, set up on those segments. And now Tom's going to go ahead and bend to the right as far as you can go. Awesome. Again, moving in the same direction. Take the difference. Good. Go ahead and come back to neutral. Just going to zero those guys off again. And let's go ahead and bend the other way. Awesome. Same thing there too. All right, so now we're just going to look at some active movements and how his pelvis is moving with those movements. So what I'm going to do is get set up here on his PSIS. One hand's going to be on S2 here as my reference. And now, Tom, I want you to go ahead and march for me. So you're going to hike that right leg up. That's it. Good. Keep hiking that right leg up. Awesome. So what I'm feeling for right there is that depression of that PSIS as he's lifting that leg up. And then I'll move to the other side. So I'm going to get set up on his PSIS on the other side. And notice that left leg as that PSIS depresses. Excellent. Looks good. So next one we're going to do is we're going to do a standing flexion test. So I'm going to have both hands here on the PSIS. And Tom's just going to go ahead and reach down towards his toes. And I'm noticing here as he's coming down that his PSIS are elevating slightly, and then he's going to come back up. And they're nice and symmetrically moving up and down together during that motion, so everything looks good. So now we're just going to finish looking at our active motion measures. I'm going to have Tom do a active hip abduction task. So what I want you to do is you're going to have your legs nice and straight here. Awesome. You're going to focus on keeping your hips nice and stacked, your head supported there, and if we had the proper equipment, we'd have a pillow underneath his head to be able to keep that head nice and neutral. What I want you to do, Tom, is you're going to go ahead and lift this leg up as high as you can, and then come down nice and controlled. And so right now I'm looking to see, is his pelvis swaying back and forth here, so go ahead and do that a couple of times. And as he goes, his pelvis is getting a little bit more stable. He's recruiting a little bit more of his abdominal musculature and trunk musculature to assist that glute med. Let's go ahead and see how the other side looks to take a look at the symmetry here. So he flips over, legs are stacked. He's going to rotate to make sure his hips stay nice and stacked here, bringing that leg straight up and straight down, straight up, straight down. Make sure we're not cheating here. Using that arm, we're going to rest that arm along our side here. And that pelvis looks nice and stable now. A couple repetitions and we noticed a tiny little bit of wobble there initially and then nice and stable, so some pretty good control there. Now we're going to take a look at some passive modalities. I'm going to have Tom go ahead and flip down onto his stomach. Ideally we'd have a nice face hole for him here, but we don't, so we're going to do what we can. So first thing we're going to do is look at some posterior to anterior mobility testing, specifically the spring test for those vertebrae. So what I'm going to do is come in here, find his L4, and go ahead and start on L5 right there. And ideally as well with this positioning, I'd be able to lower the table down to get my shoulders a little bit more above him, but just pressing through that hypothenar eminence here, assessing that passive movement, and then I'm going to work my way up.
What's the bottom up? Does it down would be this from 12?
Nice little cavitation.
I'm not exactly sure.
To left.
That's what I just watched in her videos.
Alright. Good. Alright, so now we're just going to finish with some passive intervertebral motion testing. First one we're going to look at is while doing flexion here. So I'm going to find his L4, spine is processed the same way I did it before. And then I know if I'm on L4, I go down to L5. I'm going to put my fingers now in between his L5 S1 and L4 L5 segment. And then I've got him already in a bunch of hip flexion and knee flexion. I'm going to bring him into some more flexion, and I can feel right there that L5 S1 segment open up. And then if I bring him back a little bit more, I can feel it close down. And then I'm just going to move up and continue all the way through here. Feel those segments moving. In order to feel that movement, I have to bring them into a little bit more of that flexion to begin to feel that opening as I go up. Doing okay, Tom? Last one here. Good. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at that lateral flexion. So I'm gonna get set up again where I was before. Go L4, minus L5, go in between the two, and we're gonna focus on doing now instead rotation here to have him close down that space when he's going into that lateral flexion. And then I'm gonna move those segments again. Good. There it is. Same thing here, I'm gonna have to bring him into a little bit more rotation as I go up to feel it closing down on that side. Good, and let's just have you flip over and we'll do that other side. Yeah. Camera can get a sense of how it looks from behind. Here we are in 5. More flexion.